So good morning, everyone, and like to express my delight at being able to join you all, and the appreciations to Kathy and Ajahn and Yaniko for getting things to work on your end, and Ajahn Kajana here on this end, making things happen. And we happen to have the use of the Amravati Retreat Center space, not the whole retreat, but up until Thursday. So Friday, Saturday, we'll be wandering. We'll be on Tudong, looking for a place. And yeah, just to recognize that there's this annual retreat, and it's just a really wonderful thing to be doing, taking the time to step back from whatever duties, responsibilities, distractions that we have, and to devote time and energy to practice. And that, whatever the external conditions, just putting attention on practice, noticing that Abhayagiri yesterday, raining the whole day, this morning, snowing. Here at Amravati today, we've had sun, we've had rain, we've had lashing winds. And it's sort of, it's been changeable, but yeah, regardless, putting the attention onto the practice, onto training, and as we do that, just opening ourselves to really learning. And recognizing that we have this opportunity to study the Buddha's teachings and to study ourselves, our own kind of habits and tendencies, our own conditioning, our own propensities for creating happiness and suffering, and to learn from that. Of course, I particularly like the theme of Anapanasati. It's a favorite of mine, as many people will know, and but it's really a mainstay of Buddhist practice, and certainly the Buddha himself returned to Anapanasati over and over again as a foundation, a basis for not only his own practice, but also for his teaching and encouragement to others. So that with Anapanasati, the mindfulness of breathing, being able to reflect on it, not just as a meditation technique, but as even though it is a particular method, a methodology, but that it is a part of the whole aspect of practice. It's just one of the tools that we have available to us, and there are many tools, and all of those tools are should be in service of just living a skillful life. And that is what practice is. Just learning how to develop a increasing sense of clarity and understanding in how to lift up the wholesome, the skillful, the beneficial into the heart, and to relinquish the unskillful. And on a certain level, it's not that complicated or difficult. But that's in theory. Probably the problem is in the reality of it. That our minds are and our hearts are kind of tangled messes for the most part. So it's ongoing learning, ongoing contemplation and cultivation. But having a base to keep returning to is really really important. It's a real refuge, so that mindfulness of breathing is a really important base to come back to. And of course, there's the very well-known story of Ajahn Chah, where somebody was complaining about just being too busy, too many distractions, too many responsibilities to be able to practice. I don't have time for practice. That's sort of a lament that I think we all can find our hearts whinging towards. And Ajahn Chah just coming back, do you have time to breathe? And because just keep returning the practice, what we think of practice as just one breath at a time, and that if our practice was as important to us as breathing, then we'd have lots of time for practice. And the reality is, it is important, as important. If we take an in-breath but don't take an out-breath, then life is very short. But if we forget about our training, forget about Dhamma practice, forget about what's true, what's real, then that is a certain we're allowing ourselves to die inside, and that's a real shame. So it's important to lift that anchor or that foundation up for ourselves, so that we're reminding ourselves that what's really important for us. So in the turning attention to mindfulness of breathing, and it's great that we this morning we chanted for you guys this morning, chanted the Anapanasati Sutta. That's one of the chants that I think is really helpful to chant over and over again. Commit to memory if you can, or at least to be really familiar with it. And because there's so many guideposts in there, reminders of what are useful tools for practice. And of course the sutta begins with the Buddha saying that this mindfulness of breathing is of great fruit and great benefit, and just making an encouraging statement of the benefit that this practice brings, and that, but also that in that practice of mindfulness of breathing, it relies on and is tied to other extremely important parts of the Buddha's path. The Four Foundations of Mindfulness, Seven Factors of Awakening. Those are really foundational practices, and so that mindfulness of breathing is not separate from that. It's integrated into it. And I think that that's important to recognize, that when we're practicing mindfulness of breathing, we're integrating our practice into the whole path. This whole path that the Buddha laid down is accessible to us as we breathe in, as we breathe out, and to not be too linear about how we think about it, and particularly approaching the 16 steps of mindfulness of breathing. I mean, it's easy to think that, okay, there's step 1 through to step 16, and I've got to get all those 16 steps down, but if we're too linear about it, it becomes complicated and kind of counterproductive. It's not that there can't be, say, a linear development, but it should be seen, say that linear development is in a larger context or larger framework of this experience of the Dhamma, experience of peace, experience of cultivation, because they're not separate. So and when we begin cultivating mindfulness of breathing, again, it's not to limit oneself too tightly. I've only got to pay attention to my breath. You're paying attention to your whole body, your whole mind, and within that, you are breathing in and breathing out, and that breath is like an anchor for an awareness, a mindfulness, a reflective alertness that is, we're able to begin to get a handle on our, just this experience of being a human being, and paying attention to what's useful, what's beneficial. So the Buddha encourages us to find a quiet place, and that's again, it's useful to be in a quiet place. Does that mean we can't do mindfulness of breathing when we're busy at something, or we're engaged in maybe you're stuck on a bus or a train, or you're waiting in a doctor's office, and it's not quiet, but our breath is there. The environment is helpful, it's supportive, it's an encouragement to step back a bit physically so that we can be less distracted. But if there are things going on around one, it's still, the breath is there. And we can return to the breath, and we can relax into the breath. So that in these instructions, it's important to recognize that it's not just this one way and nothing else. It is, maybe it's an optimal way to talk about it, but then we have to figure out how to apply it, how to work with it, how to experiment with it, how to adapt the practice to situations that are very real for us. So in finding, in having a quiet place, taking a suitable, comfortable posture. Of course, in the sutta, the Buddha is saying sitting down with crossed legs, back erect, and that is, again, it's optimal. If one needs to sit in a chair, or one standing, or even lying down, one can still be doing mindfulness of breathing. So that adapting it to the particular circumstance. But in an optimal sense, sitting with as upright as possible with one's posture, and again, not so upright that you're tense and tight, but that there's a nice balance, and also that you're being supported by your skeletal structure rather than your muscular structure. Because if you try to hold yourself up using your different muscles, you start to ache. But if you're just rely on the skeletal structure. Your back is meant to be more or less upright. Your shoulders are meant to be just kind of hanging from your neck. Your head is meant to be balanced on top of your shoulders. And when you pay attention to inhabiting the body in a way that is nice and balanced, then there's an effortlessness to sitting. It's very comfortable, at least for a certain amount of time. I mean, after a while, everybody is going to be a bit different. How long it's comfortable for. And you can work with that to keep sort of just little adjustments here and there, so that there's that ease is one settles into that ease. But in general, that there is when we're sitting comfortably, we can relax into that posture, and then just breathing and paying attention to softening and relaxing. And we're going to be different at different times. Like I noticed yesterday, I sat through the day and into the evening, and today I had trouble sitting. and I think part of it is from leftover bruising, or just from that car accident, which is over a month ago, and you think, it's over a month ago. Why should it be bothering me? But these things don't follow one's ideals. You just have to pay attention to what the experience is, so that there's it takes time, and bodies are always, they're changing all the time. So just pay attention. Don't be too idealistic about how you think it should be, how you want it to be, but pay attention to what is, and learn how to relax into that, and then adapt, adjust as is needed, and there's always options. Today I was sitting in a chair for a while because it was that was a good way to sit quietly, but not. And to kind of rest the body a bit. So just find those areas of comfort in the body, and come back to the breath, and come back to that sense of allowing the breath to kind of carry awareness through the whole body, and you do that by, as in the sutta, just tuning into the rhythm of the breath, because not every breath is exactly the same. Sometimes you breathe in, it's a bit longish, sometimes it's a bit short. And just to tune into that rhythm and the sensation. Breathing in long, I know I'm breathing in long. I'm breathing in short, I know I'm breathing in short. So that, and to not overthink it or over-define it. How long does it have to be before I can call it long? And how, we can create a whole tangle for ourselves, and miss the whole point of what we're supposed to be doing. Is just tuning into that rhythm, the breath coming in, the breath going out, and just that sense of it being a bit long, being a bit short, starting to recognize some of the emotional and mental patterns that might be there for, because sometimes there's a relaxed quality that comes from breathing in and out in a long, through the nose. It has a soothing sensation on the body and the mind. Oftentimes, if just in ordinary states, like a short breath would sometimes be expressed when we're either agitated or restless or irritated or caught up in some kind of fantasy of seeking some kind of gratification. It's not relaxed. But, and to recognize that you can calm things down by breathing, just paying attention to the rhythm of the breath, just drawing out the breath a little bit longer, a little bit, letting it linger a little bit more, so you can just relax and let go. and you start to, it's like immersing yourself into the experience of the breath, feeling the body, feeling the mood of the mind itself. There's a point sometimes where where you really start to settle down and relax, and you know the breath itself. You start recognizing or realizing, well, the breath is kind of short, because you just don't. There just isn't kind of the same kind of physical need of the body to be breathing so much. I mean, it's just is, and that can disturb us at first, or be a bit of a shock at first, and then you jump back into like controlling the breath, trying to make it longer so that it's breathing in a familiar pattern. But you have to trust the body, trust the mind. If there's a sense of contentment, a sense of ease, it doesn't really matter whether the breath is long or breath is short. But that does happen, where and it's very common. Just the breath starts to shorten, because there's like a fullness of the body and the mind already, and it doesn't need to have, say, quote unquote normal breath. It can be more refined, and that's very relaxing and settling. So just recognizing those variations on just something we take for granted almost. Breathing in, breathing out. These are very ordinary, very normal things we do. But to be recognizing that once we really pay attention, there's a lot of nuance and variation there. And to start to pay attention to and it's not, you don't have to be thinking it out or analyzing it in an intellectual way, but just noticing, what's the emotional tone, emotional mood, and recognizing that we can be, say, the clarity of mind, clarity of heart, is, that's what we're really cultivating with this practice. Not any particular state of mind, but it's more of that. So just that increased clarity and a ease of mind, a spaciousness. Just allowing the mind and the heart to inhabit that more, immersing oneself into that kind of tone as we breathe in, as we breathe out, and to explore that, experiment with it. Now, how do we immerse ourselves in that experience? So just to recognize that that's available to us. And then in terms of the sequence, the Buddha uses the structure of the four foundations of mindfulness, and taking body, feeling, mind, and dhammas, or phenomena, as a structure for these 16 steps of mindfulness of breathing for each of the foundations of mindfulness. So the first four are concerned with the body, and so that physical rhythm of the breath, breathing in long, breathing in short, breathing out long, breathing out short, just that fundamental rhythm of the breath. And then the Buddha has one turn attention to to being in this body, because we can be so up in our heads so quickly that it can be a real obstacle, and it's such a insidious habit that we are we're conditioned to, that is coming really consciously coming back to the body, and so that breathing, experiencing the whole body I breathe in, experiencing the whole body I breathe out, and that. Because the instructions that the Buddha gives are very, very terse. I mean, it's very short, so that word experiencing, Ajahn Jeff translates it as sensitive to. So sensitive to the whole body I breathe in, sensitive to the whole body I breathe out. Bhikkhu Bodhi translates it as experiencing, and both of them are really valid. And sometimes I think that's one of the great benefits of having different translations, is you can start to get a different feel for a particular Pali term through how different scholars translate a term. So, because the word in the Pali language is patisangveti, and veti is like the root for vedana, and vedana means to feel, and so that, and both pati and san are like amplifiers. It's like to feel fully this whole body. And it says sampakaya, that it's the whole body, the complete body. So that breathing in, again, coming into the body, anchoring one's experience in the body. It's actually quite interesting how in the suttas, how so many places the Buddha praises mindfulness of the body, and it's something that, of course, Anapanasati is an example of that. But this mindfulness of the body, being mindful, being present, using the body as an anchor for mindfulness and clear comprehension. And that's something that because even when we talk about being like Anapanasati, mindfulness of the in-breath and out-breath, mindfulness of breathing, in the teachings, it's rare that the Buddha uses sati completely on its own. There's, especially when he's explaining or teaching or instructing, there's oftentimes it's complemented with sampajanya, sati and sampajanya. They work together. Sati is mindfulness or awareness. Sampajanya is, Ajahn Jeff translates as alertness. Many translators, there's a clear comprehension. I've just been listening to translations of the connected discourses. Translation was done by Bhikkhu Sujato, and he translates sampajanya as situational awareness. So and when we say situational, that's both an external situation, but also an internal situation. What's the situation with my mind right now? So that's that, because it's having a context, having a recognition that we are always relating to something, whether we like it or not, and to have not just a focused mindfulness, but to have that mindfulness with a clear comprehension. And that the translators or the commentators of old talked about, say, sampajanya, clear comprehension, in a few different ways. And one is a clear comprehension of purpose, that you actually understand what you're doing. You clarify your intention. Because sometimes we can, again, we think, I've got to fix my mind on an object. I've got to get my meditation object down. I've got to get my meditation together, and I got to make my mind shut up and sit still. So it's, and that can be an obstacle. But you realize, oh no, having alertness and clear comprehension to understand what's the purpose of what am I doing? What am I trying to do here? Am I trying to make myself peaceful, or am I trying to wind myself up and get more stressed and spun out? So right off the bat, clarifying purpose. And that sense of clarifying purpose, clarifying the suitability. In the Pali, it's sabhaya, sampajanya. Sabhaya is like the skillful means that we employ, or that we bring to, and the sense of it. Is it suitable? Okay, there's this purpose. I like to be peaceful. I like to be clear. But then, how I'm approaching it, is it suitable or not? And that's a function of, that's one of the things that in the suttas, the Buddha at one point says, like sampajanya is I think that might be in a commentary, but whatever the case, it's still valid. That sampajanya, clear comprehension, is another word, a synonym for wisdom. So that sense of, with each aspect of cultivating mindfulness, we have to be applying wisdom. So that clear comprehension of the purpose of what you're, clear comprehension of suitability. Is this going to work? Is it working? Is it suitable? can I try something else? Because that's something that because it isn't, say, the foundation of practice is not trying to be faithful to how one particular technique or view, and then try to pound yourself into submission with that. It's like, how do I make this work? How do I adapt to the circumstances? And it's like one of Ajahn Chah's teachers, Ajahn Tonglen, he's a very down-to-earth teacher, and when his comment one time on practice was that practicing the Dhamma, it's not that difficult. When the defilements come at you high, you duck, and when they come at you low, you jump over them. And it's just, you got to figure it out. And in order to figure it out, you've got to have that clear comprehension. You've got to have a situational awareness. You've got to, you have to be alert. It isn't just fixing the mind on an object that's going to do the trick. And so that learning how to use this mindfulness of breathing, and that sense of how to use it, how to cultivate it, how to develop it, how to apply it. That clear comprehension of it's called domain, which is a gochara, this is in Pali, and it's like domain in the sense of that situation. Whether it's an external situation, whether it's an internal situation, what are we working with? And so having that clearly comprehending, recognizing, being alert to, okay, right now I'm quite, we think of it in terms of the internal, I mean external is similar, but think, okay, right now I'm actually feeling quite relaxed and my mind's quite peaceful. What do I employ? What would be useful to employ right now? Or the domain, okay, right now a particular hindrance is coming up. Like Ajahn Yaniko talked about the hindrances yesterday. Okay, right now there's a particular hindrance coming up. I got to work with this. I can't ignore it. I've got to work with it. I've got to figure out. So it's a clear comprehension of domain, of the sphere of experience that we're inhabiting at this present moment, not some idealized version of what you'd like it to be, but what is it right now, and that's why this practice of Dhamma is, when we recite the qualities of Dhamma, this is it's to be experienced here and now. That's what it's, and we have to be alert and attentive to it. The last quality of clear comprehension is clear comprehension of reality. And the word, that's the translation of reality is from, say, asamoha, and it's sort of like a clear comprehension of non-delusion. And so that, and what's the fundamental basis of non-delusion? Is not getting entangled in the sense of self, the sense of me, a sense of mine. I have like this, I should be like that. The whole sort of self-program is the fundamental delusion that separates us from reality. So a clear comprehension of non-delusion. What would it be like to turn our attention to not getting so wrapped up in ourselves, to learning how to shed, drop. So this cultivation of, okay, we're cultivating the mindfulness of an in-breath and an out-breath. We're cultivating mindfulness of the body. But you start recognizing, well, we have access to the whole path already. That's stage 3 of Anapanasati, and really you've got the tools to complete the path. There's always nuance, there's always more detail, there's always more tools, there's always more perspectives. But in reality, the whole path can unfold in just one in-breath and one out-breath, being grounded in this body. And of course, that experiencing the body. I think another aspect that the Buddha points to in this discourse on mindfulness of breathing and the first tetrad of the sutta is calming the body. I breathe in, calming the body. I breathe out, and so that the Buddha is explicit in saying, and in it's calming, settling, soothing, stilling, different words that we can use, but to consciously turn our attention to that sense of making the body at ease. There's a real benefit that comes from consciously turning to the aspects of what's peaceful, what's settled, what is a bit more refined. Because we do, our habit is to stir ourselves up, to get caught. The things that catch us are inevitably the, irritations, aversions. That catches our attention really quickly. Things that are desirable, the next kind of pleasant thing that I can consume or experience. The things that confuse and create doubt or concern or worry. Those are aspects that our mind gets easily attracted to. And we can, we bite into them and run with them. And to consciously turn to what is more peaceful, what is more calm, what is more settled. So as we breathe in, the body is the primary. It's big, it's heavy, it's a lumpy mess here that you wish wouldn't be so burdensome, but it's also it's a focal point for our experience, and then we can bring attention to it in a way that there's a certain kindness and gentleness and softness and soothing quality as we breathe in, as we breathe out, to allow the body to be experienced within a sphere of calm, within a sphere of what is settled, and that is a again, it's something that we consciously bring our attention to, and it's a part of the practice of the training. It's a way of directing attention that is really necessary, essential, because we can break. I'm going to say it's not so. The habits of getting caught by distraction can fall away. It's not that we go around annihilating them and destroying them because we don't like them. It's more like, oh, when we reckon, oh, that calmness is still, is actually right there. That settled quality is still right there. I just need to pay attention to it. Breathing in, I can be attentive. Breathing out, I can be alert to that quality, that calm, and that's experienced in the body. But of course, it starts to pervade the mind, and it's just really, really helpful. It's really supportive conditions for practice. So as we begin, this is the second full day of the retreat. Just encourage people to connect with your body, connect with your mind, experiment, play with it, take an interest in cultivating this mindfulness of breathing. So I'll leave that for your reflection for the morning. And I'll also just to let people know that myself and the others, we've got a small gang of people here at Anapanasati who are joining in as well. But this evening,